Today I want to talk about the takeaways from Oklahoma's 70-14 stomping of South Dakota. And all that's coming up after the bumper.
What do you mean you don't subscribe to my son's YouTube channel?
Mama, no!
Just snap the damn ball, RJ.
What's up, kidfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always OU related, college football related, sports related. We have a good time. And you probably know by now that it was not hard for Oklahoma to beat FCS South Dakota. The score is indicative of how the game went, with the exception of the opening possession. South Dakota forced the first team offense of Oklahoma to punt on his first possession. Yes, there's a penalty, but still, I thought that was kind of cool. South Dakota gets the ball. South Dakota gets to 4th and inches and decides to punt. And all of us thought that that was wild because aren't you here to just kind of take a chance and in it to win it? And so much so that Alex Grinch sent out 10 of the defensive starters and CeeDee Lamb back deep. That's how much they thought South Dakota was punting. South Dakota punted. And on we went. So for the second straight game, Oklahoma has over 300 yards passing, over 300 yards rushing. To be precise, 423 yards through the air, 310 yards on the ground. And yeah, Jalen Hurts did his Heisman thing, 14 of 18, 259 yards, 3 TDs, 47 yards rushing. Cool. CeeDee Lamb did his Biletnikoff Award thing, 144 yards and a TD. Also cool. Also had one amazing catch. Like, it was legitimately cool. But before I get to the puppies, which are really the reason to watch this game and to talk about this game in earnest, got to talk about the defense, man. The defense was stout. And Alex Grinch said in his postgame, I kind of got to look at this as two different games because, yeah, played probably more than 40 guys after playing like 26 the week before. But once he took out the first team starters, that's when South Dakota got on the board. So the first team starters basically pitched a shutout, which is what you wanted, what you expect. The turnovers, though, that was interesting because I'm still counting the turnover on downs that they got. Maybe he's not counting it as a takeaway, but it is a turnover against Houston. Now, against South Dakota, you got started with Brendan Radley Hiles jumping on a ball that Neville Gallimore punched out. Very, very cool. Kai Henry put it on the floor, and one of the South Dakota players had an opportunity to go pick it up. Bookie said he thought about picking it up, but he wanted to fall on it because he wanted to get the first one and bring the ball back to Grinch. Turns out he didn't get to bring the ball back to Grinch because he kind of got mobbed, got lost. But he would have another opportunity because coming out of the to start the second half in the third quarter, my man got an opportunity to jump a route, 30-yard line, picked it off, took it back to the house. So Bookie has the first interception of the season, the first interception of the Grinch era, and the first defensive touchdown of the Grinch era. For those of you Bookie haters out there, people that are writing down the libelous stuff, the people that are saying the slanderous stuff, this one's for you. Now, counterpoint. FCS team, FCS South Dakota. He doesn't get to pick. Do you want the kid to grow up or do you want the kid to not grow up? Because he is your nickel. Alex Grinch really likes him out there. He has a lot of opportunities to just be himself and go play as he knows how to play. He had a tackle for loss because he knew where the ball was going to be. He's developing. He's a true sophomore. I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to be great. That's me. We also got to see Deshaun White get his first sack, and it was interesting to watch how South Dakota's offensive line decided to deal with the pressure coming from Oklahoma, particularly when Grinch sent more than one of the linebackers. So there's this play. Kenneth Murray Jr. got to stand up in basically 4'9", and he went after the quarterback. So they slid protection his way. Kenneth Murray gets blocked up, but Deshaun White comes shoot through the gap, and he gets to put quarterback on the ground, South Dakota. They tried to do the quick play stuff. They tried to dink and dump it down the field. It worked some of the time in the second half. Didn't work a lot in the first half because they're just that fast. Parnell Motley also played an outstanding game. Delarrin Turner-Yell needs to work on wrapping up because we know that he can be physical. Also know that he dropped a pick. He had it in his hands. He could have had the first one. I thought it was funny because Bookie said that he and Delarrin are very close and they had talked openly about who was going to get the first pick. He also made mention to Deshaun White and how both of them ended up at Oklahoma and something that happened at the U.S. Army All-American game that night he didn't want to go into. Now I want to know that story, like we all want to know that story. But the real takeaways from this came in the third and fourth quarter when Jalen Hurts was told to sit down, when Trey Sermon was told to sit down, Kennedy Brooks was told to sit down. For Kennedy Brooks' part, all he did was average 11.5 yards per carry. Dude's a walking first down. And as bad as we can talk about the penalties, 12 of them, 96 yards, got to get that cleaned up. And we could talk about the offensive line play, particularly on the left side, because Marquise Hayes did not play, didn't dress out for this one. R.J. Proctor started at his natural position of left guard. Eric Swenson got to start at left tackle. Turns out Eric Swenson didn't look very good at left tackle. Made you think that anybody coming off the edge on the defensive line was going to just destroy him at left tackle if they were, basically a class above. So probably going to see R.J. Proctor back out there at left tackle. But R.J. Proctor also had some really stupid holding penalties, particularly in the first half. That aside, they still managed to run the ball and throw the ball really well, but Bill Bedenbaugh is not going to be very happy with his offensive line. I'm curious to hear how he grades out people later in the week, because against that opponent, you would expect them to just maul people, and they didn't do that. But got to see the puppies. Got to see EJ and Domo Ogar. I think we got to see some Stacey Wilkins out there. Got to check the report later on Monday, Tuesday, when they finally watch film and see all the folks who played. But you know who I saw played? Jane Hazelwood got a tremendous amount of playing time, and he looked really good out there, man. He is living up to that billing of being the most touted wide receiver in this class. For me, I thought it was always going to be Theo Wease. Been proved wrong by that, by Jaden Hazelwood and how he's come out to play. Trajan Bridges got in there. Theo Wease got in there late. And then we got to see Spencer Rattler after Tanner Mordecai. But first, I want to touch on Tanner Mordecai, who did really, really well. 6 of 8 for 114 yards, 2 touchdowns. Ramondre Stevenson was the running back for him. He was the only 100-yard rusher in this 733-yard day of offense. It's kind of remarkable when you think about it, that he would be the first guy to get to 100 yards at the running back position of all the running backs that they have at Oklahoma. Rattler comes in late in the fourth, goes 4 of 4 for 50 yards passing, 2 rushes for 15 yards. The thing that was told to me by a former NFL pro right off the bat, right after he saw tape of Rattler, was his release is super quick. I'm like, yeah, man, I've seen that for 2 years, but it really makes me feel good to know that I know what I'm looking at when I see something and I go, that guy can just get the ball out of there as quickly as he wants to, and it goes where he needs it to go. He's very accurate, and anybody that saw him throw the ball at all will tell you they can't wait to watch him play. As a matter of fact, my buddy at 247, Kevin Bulliard, made the joke of, hey, this guy's a front runner for the Heisman campaign in 2020. He's that good. And if you just watch the film maybe just watch the 10-play, 76-yard drive he led to finish in a touchdown with a 9-yard TD pass to Trajan Bridges, and you see what everybody's talking about. Because Marcus Major was back there with him. EJ and Domo Ogar was on the line. You had Trajan Bridges on one side. You had Theo Wease on the other. You had Austin Stogner at tight end. I was like, yes, this is what everybody's paying their pay-per-view money for. Are we going to take a whole lot away from this? No, except that you got a W. The W counts. We'll do the thing where we talk about an FCS opponent versus not, but you know who else played an FCS opponent today? Alabama. Well, Alabama played Mexico State. They're FBS, so throw them out. Georgia played Murray State. They're FCS, right? And they could name the number on them. It's what people are doing. Strength of schedule only matters if you lose a game. Take a look at what Clemson has left after dispatching A&M with prejudice. Man, that was a fun game to watch. I want to just say the defense is coming on because I think the defense is coming on, but you're going to judge it against an FCS opponent. So would you have liked to see people just skull dragged and stop for negative yardage? Well, I mean, I can give you the one stat. They held South Dakota to 19 yards rushing. Okay? Now, obviously, it's a team that wanted to throw the ball more than it wanted to run the ball. But anytime you can stop somebody from actually throwing the ball that doesn't want to throw the ball and they're got a lot of air raid to them, it's good. All right? I still think that people are going to overreact, but it's your right to overreact because you only get 12 of these and you got to grade every game and every game has to matter. And people are going to say, throw this one out. South Dakota, you're supposed to hang 70 on South Dakota. You're supposed to hold them to 14 points. You're supposed to not let them score in the first half. All right, that's fine. That's cool. I understand. Now you roll back into what is a regular week against a UCLA team that might be worse than South Dakota. Because all UCLA did was lose to San Diego State. Now they're 0-2 to start the year. So whatever, man. However you want to draw it up. They have better kids on the roster at UCLA, so you're going to say that they're a more talented team. But they might not be a better football team than South Dakota. We'll just have to wait and see. I thought the Coyotes for their part, acquitted themselves well. They had their share of penalties, but everybody kept their head. Everybody was professional in the way that they went about this business. They collect their $575,000 check, and they go back home to Vermilion, and they try to go and correct their FCS season. They're now 0-2, maybe get an opportunity to get back into the playoff. All right, that's it for me. Deuces.